All right, Facebook. It's Friday.
Happy Friday, Facebook, YouTube, social media. We'll be joining WJR shortly here, just a little bit. Dave, we have our bet going, but we're going to flip the script, and I'm going to take Clay, and you're going to take the field on who shows up first today. You already owe me 2 of whatever we're betting.
That's right. I'll take the field, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see if Clay can get his computer up and running today.
Right. He's let me down for 2 days now.
So did you get to watch much of the golf today, or were you too busy?
I was too busy to watch the golf. Hang on 1 second. WJR. Hey, Krista, how are you? Thank you so much for calling back today from the little mix-up earlier in the week. We appreciate it. Hang on the line, and we'll get you on with Kevin in a little bit here, okay?
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Do you mind asking her if her last name is Casteda? Casteda? Krista Casteda?
Krista, what's the correct pronunciation of your last name? Castaneda. Got it. Okay, thanks. Castaneda.
Not even an N in it.
Castaneda. She said that will work for our. She said that'll work for our audience. Castaneda.
There's no N in her name though.
Unless I made a typo, but
her name is Castaeda.
Well, that's her last name.
Krista
Castaneda.
I know, but there's no N in her name. How could it be Neda? How could it be Castaneda if there's no N?
There is an N in her name.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, Castaneda. Oh. There is an N in her last name.
Oh, what I have, I don't have an N. I must have copied her.
Yeah, it's Kristen Castaneda. Yeah, you're good. And I win the bet because Jeffrey's the first one in.
Jeffrey's in. You evened up the score. You pressed. And,
there we go.
Jeffrey, you saved Dave today. He was down 2 something or others, whatever we're betting. And
thanks, Jeffrey. Way to go, man.
I had Clay coming in first, but Jeffrey was quick to the punch.
Awesome.
We're going to be starting the show in about 2 minutes.
Yep, a couple minutes.
Hey, Clint, what's going on? Hey, Clint, give me a call after the show. Talk about pool party. Got get you down here. I got my dates organized.
Know your risk factor for heart attack and stroke.
Well,
happy Friday.
Another St. Louis Cardinal tested positive for COVID today, so their game got postponed again.
Wow, they're really struggling. How many games have they played?
I mean, up until the Tigers that were supposed to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, they were normal.
Wow.
So,
did you see the story? Jim Caldwell reveals new details about his firing.
Yes, I saw that.
What were they? I didn't see it.
I just saw the headline.
Oh.
I wasn't able to read the article. So, all right, we're coming. Here we go.
Welcome to Albom in the Afternoon, debut performance on the second day of 1996.
This is an unusual guy, this Mitch Albom.
The Mitch Albom Show!
Glad to have you with us both on MSNBC and all across the nation. Kenny
The
Brown.
most dominant co-host in the game.
Hey, Mitch!
The longest running afternoon show in Detroit radio.
The Mitch Albom Show
Starts now.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Hello and happy Friday. Mitch has the night off. We have a great show for you tonight. We will be talking to former Red Wing great Darren Mccarty. We're going to dig into the IPO of Rocket Co's. What does it mean for investors? Dan Gilbert, who's now one of the 30 richest people in the world, and Metro Detroiters. And we have a retired Detroit FBI agent who worked deep undercover in a biker gang and scored one of the biggest cases in United States history. His story is currently a top 10 podcast in the country. But we begin tonight with a story you may not be following. Just hours after reporting a record $6.7 billion quarterly loss, oil giant BP announced plans to cut oil and gas production by at least 40% over the next decade. It's a transition to a lower carbon energy company. Here to talk about that and why they're doing that is attorney and oil and gas expert Krista Castaneda. Krista, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, glad to be here.
So if they lost $6.7 billion, why are they cutting production?
Well, production is cut because supply exceeds demand by so much. We're all sitting in our houses rather than driving to work. We look at each other on Zoom rather than meeting each other at the bar. And so oil production has greatly exceeded demand for the last several months. They're losing money hand over fist. And some predict that production may never come back to where it was.
So they're going to invest in other forms of energy, renewables?
Well, yeah, they're going to transition their capital base to things that hopefully will be more stable over the long term. And, you know, frankly, there is a big impetus from shareholders to these corporations to get into less carbon-based production and more renewable energy.
That's a huge pivot. What does it mean for everyday folks?
Well, I think for the foreseeable future, you're going to be able to count on, you know, gas supply at the pump. I think you'll continue up there in Michigan to drive oil-fueled vehicles for the next 5 to 10 years, but I think you're going to increasingly see cars transitioning to electric. Battery technology is going to get, focused on and probably get more efficient. And, you know, we will eventually make that transition. But in the meantime, in places like Texas, where I am, we have a really challenging scenario in trying to deal with how it's going to wreck our economy for the foreseeable future.
Well, yeah, in Detroit, we're the Motor City. There's going to be a lot of people resistant to changing as well. But it does appear change is coming. Every car company is also saying that they have to move in this direction. It's not when, it's if. As this transition takes place, how do you see it playing out?
Look, I think there's going to be some companies that get ahead of the curve and are more facile and, adapt more readily. Maybe BP is going to be one of those. I think there's going to be holdouts who are going to try to hang on to, you know, the traditional market as much as they can for as long as they can because they don't have the capabilities to make this huge investment in a different business model. And so there's going to be winners and losers, but there's always winners and losers in our economy in the United States.
Is BP out here on its own, or are the other big oil companies following suit?
All of them have some initiatives. BP seems to be the most vocal and the most invested at the moment, or signaling one of the biggest investments, I would say. But no, all of the oil companies of any size are signaling that they will have a renewable energy arm, or even make that their central focus, in a matter of 5 to 10 years.
And this is all part of the effort to be greener and be more environmentally conscious.
Yeah, and again, I have to stress that a lot of it comes from shareholders, right? If it's a publicly held corporation, they call it a social license to operate, and their shareholders are telling them that they no longer have, the ability to get, investments and shareholder satisfaction if they're so heavily invested in carbon producing fuels.
So how is this impacting the economy, or how will it impact the economy?
Well, in Texas, the oil industry going down is a huge driver of our economy. It's 20% of our state tax base. We don't have income taxes. We have a tax structure that's heavily reliant on extraction taxes for fossil fuels. So it's going to have a big impact for us, but it's going to have a big impact for the economy nationwide. Again, we are all going to be in a period of transition. As you know, we're not spending money on fuel. We're going to start spending a lot more money on Zoom licenses and computer equipment, and bandwidth, and 5G, and these technology companies. So, and apartment leases are going to be challenged. High-rise office space is going to be challenged. I think we're in really, it's a tremendous reset of our economy from what we have known to a very new reality.
So you talked about some companies will get ahead of the curve and others will not, and some will do better than others. What is Texas going to do to get out in front of this, or try to not just be devastated by it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, companies here are pretty much left on their own to figure it out for themselves. There have been calls, for our state government, something called the Texas Railroad Commission, which has nothing to do with railroads, has everything to do with oil and gas extraction, for that entity to enact what we call production controls or proration to reset. So it was the very first OPEC. There's been calls for it to act like OPEC and reset supply and demand to shore up some of these oil companies. But Texas being Texas, the politics were such that they preferred the free market, and so that wasn't done. So we're kind of in a free fall for a lot of companies right now.
And what would your advice be for Detroit to do?
Well, to start planning for the transition to different types of vehicles. And look, you guys have already done it. Your manufacturers are starting to plan for electric vehicles and have produced electric vehicles, and invest in battery technology, invest in the engineers that know how to make those next generation technologies and next generation vehicles. And frankly, plan for more vehicle sharing too, because I think that's going to come back as well.
All right, 40% over the next decade. It's gonna have a huge impact. We're gonna have to keep an eye on it. Krista, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show today.
Hey, great to be with you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Rocket IPO and let you know just exactly how much money Dan Gilbert has made in the first couple of days. But first, let's check in with weather and traffic.
Well, feeling more like summertime this weekend here in the Motor City. We've enjoyed some really fine weather for the work week. We've got another beautiful day today with comfortable numbers at 80 degrees. Low tonight, 60. Tomorrow, sunshine, mid 80s, and then upper 80s for Sunday and Monday with some hit-and-miss showers. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
This question has your
Sorry about that, Kev. Your guest is on the line.
Okay, great.
Senior Financial Center discuss ways to protect your hard-earned dollars that you've saved for retirement. Whether it's how to handle a pension, Social Security, healthcare, or that up and down stock market, you'll hear common sense, easy to understand advice with Charles and David Bartman. Tune in to Safer Income for Life, Saturdays at 2 p.m. here on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, I'm Matt Garko with Bill Brown.
So apparently the Democratic National Convention is going to have like a 4-night virtual nightly theme so people can watch.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because Biden isn't going to be going because of coronavirus.
So whether you're tech savvy or old school, we make buying
So
Ford easy.
it's going to be originally planned for Milwaukee, but now conducted by video from satellite locations. 4 nights.
Wow.
Just sick of living in pain.
So,
the Disc Institute has a
it's set for August 17th to the 20th. It's going to air live nightly on cable news from 9 to 11 p.m. with the second hour expanding to networks. The Biden campaign will also stream the convention live on 15 platforms, including the party's website, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon Prime. Interesting.
Your problem will get worse, which can ultimately lead to surgery. At the Disc Institute, we have a proven.
Clay said he was sorry because he was cooking dinner.
Clay, come on. I bet on you being there for me first, and you weren't, and now it cost me. I would have been up 4, whatever the bet was going to be. Happy Friday, everybody.
Farmington location at 248.
Happy Aloha Friday, Emily in Hawaii. I wonder, the temperatures are probably pretty similar today in Hawaii as they are here in Detroit. I wonder, I'm going to find out real quick. A little weather world. We're at 80.
Thanks to your donations, the
see if I have Hawaii in here. Honolulu, 86.
So pretty close.
Honolulu, 86, 81, and
who need food, help with
where I'm sitting.
And most of all,
pretty close.
All right, we're coming back here.
You say so.
Visit givewestwood.org. Give Westwood.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
So Rocket is now valued at about $40 billion, more than Ford Motor Company. And Dan Gilbert is now the 28th richest person on the planet. Man, it's nice to be Dan Gilbert. Will that money trickle down to Metro Detroit and Metro Detroiters? We want to find out, so we're going to check in with Crane's Detroit business writer, Nick Manis. Nick, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thanks for having me.
So this has been a wild 48 hours for you. Tell me kind of how it all went down and walk us through what happened and what people were worried about, looking at, excited about.
Yeah, so this job's been in the works for a couple of months, and then their filing came out last month, and then they all went public on Thursday morning. Kind of leading up to that, they have the road show where they take it out and pitch the stock to would-be investors. Kind of in the day or two leading up to Thursday before their stock went public, kind of became evident that there's probably some pushback on how Rocket likes to portray itself as a tech company, and that investors maybe see it more as just a consumer finance company, and so that kind of led to a little bit of a scaled back IPO than what at least Dan Gilbert and his top officials were hoping for. So we saw it go public at $18 yesterday morning, and it's been a good ride for them since then.
What were they hoping to do?
Well, I mean, certainly, they're hoping to take the company public, definitely provide some estate planning options for Dan Gilbert. And I think, as you indicated, give him some some cash to possibly, you know, spread about in Southeast Michigan and other places, I think.
Are you with us? Or did we lose
Oh, yeah,
you?
yep.
Oh, okay.
Did you lose me?
Yeah. So Gilbert's net worth now about $34 billion.
Yeah, that's what Bloomberg is reporting.
That's a big number.
That's a big number. I think they're putting him at like the 28th richest man on the planet now.
Not bad for a guy who started out delivering pizzas, right?
No, exactly. Tonight might be a nice night for Dan after a long week, I assume.
Yeah. So, do you think this was always the plan, or do you think this became more important after Dan Gilbert had his stroke?
You know, I think it's a little hard to say. Certainly, you know, this is not Dan's first time taking his company public. You know, he did it back in its previous iteration, and then bought it back. And so, certainly, I'm sure that the stroke played some role in that decision. And I think Dan might, certainly he has some freed up liquidity now that maybe he didn't have the other day. So, certainly I'm sure it became more important after that event last year.
Okay, so we know that the IPO made Dan Gilbert a lot of money. What does it do for the company?
Well, I mean, they're now, as you pointed out, I think the second most valuable company in Michigan, behind Stryker. We'll see, how much more they can inch up that way. They've certainly had a good couple of days. What it does, kind of the tangible impacts in Detroit and the region, I think, is yet to be seen. The company has made a big point of pointing out that each employee will now have stock options in the company. I think it's yet to be seen how big that could be. I actually did get a chance to talk with Tom Walters, the president and COO, yesterday, and I asked him about that. And does this mean that we minted a whole new crop of millionaires all of a sudden? And he said it's not quite like that. But we'll certainly it's certainly be some equity for some people there that otherwise didn't have it.
Yeah, so like when Facebook first started up, people who came over to work there, they were enticed to come to work at Facebook with a lot of shares, and then when the company went public, suddenly, bam, they were millionaires, lots of them, dozens and dozens of them. Yeah. But this was a little different because this was now they're going to give employees stock now that they have it.
Yes,
they're not going to
exactly.
get it at what it is.
Not quite the same. So yeah, but certainly I think we'll over time we'll probably see some tangible impacts of this. I mean, having a major company with a large market capitalization headquartered right in downtown Detroit is sure to have some capital, to have some tangible impacts if they ever get back to the office.
So how much control is lost by going public? I mean, could they move the headquarters out of Detroit? If you work there, is it going to be the same, over the next couple of years as it was in the past couple of years, or does it start to look different?
So, a couple parts to that. Dan Gilbert maintains significant control of the company. I think he controls 79% of the voting power. So he did not have to give up a lot of control. We'll see what that means for the price of the stock over time. Sometimes that could have a negative impact because if investors have no say in how the company is run, then they might not want to be investors of that company. So we'll see what impact that has. But at least for now, Dan maintains significant control of the company. On the second part, could the company move out of Detroit? As we said, Dan still has significant control, and I think there's some language somewhere in their filing that pretty much makes that very, very difficult to do. I don't know all the specifics of that, but it sounds as though Dan wants to make sure that company remains in Detroit for the foreseeable future.
There'll be a board though now, right? And my guess on Dan is that he likes to have 100% of control over everything. But
yeah, and he's got some good friends on the board.
Yeah, he'll be able to name some of them, if not the majority of them, and so you don't anticipate too much changing there. So let's talk about the city of Detroit then, because Dan Gilbert invested a lot of money in over 100, maybe hundreds of buildings in Detroit when nobody really wanted them, and I think it's paid off for him. The city, you wouldn't have a comeback if it weren't for Dan Gilbert. I mean, he bought buildings,
put a big part of that.
Yeah, put people in them. After he had his stroke, I know Cranes did a couple of stories on what Gilbert's vision was, and I know he wanted to spend some money on some medical facilities in Detroit, and he wanted to have the Hudson's project was going to scale down a little, but was still going to be a marquee for him. What do you see happening now that he's got extra, $20 billion in the bank?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's wait and see, but it certainly means, like, as you say, he's got a lot of extra money in the bank. So, if he's got Cranes on the Hudson site now, if he decides he wants to maybe bring it back up to be that tallest or second tallest building that he had once talked about, I suppose he could do that, but I'm sure that's going to be up to the market too. I mean, you got to have people to take that space. So I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out. And yeah, he did talk about maybe bringing some world-class stroke care and other healthcare facilities to Southeast Michigan. We haven't heard anything on that since he talked about that. But I'm sure that if he wanted to pursue that, these guys would get that done.
Maybe one day get one of the marquee sports franchises in Detroit. I know he owns Cleveland Cavaliers. I think he would have preferred to have gotten one in Detroit. He's got the soccer team too, right?
I think he might. I don't recall that for sure.
Yeah. So you're a business guy. Is this a company that you would go buy stock in? Do you think this is the number it's at? Do you think it's going to stay there, go down, go up? What's your guess? Give me a stock tip.
I predict stocks like I predict politics, which is I don't like to. That's why I don't have a net worth these days. But certainly it's been an impressive couple of days. We can't knock almost 40 full points of growth over 2 days. So whether that stays where it's at or continues to go up is anyone's guess. But it seems like investors are liking it so far.
All right. Well, Nick Manez, Cranes Detroit, thanks for staying on the story. Thanks for calling in and sharing the latest with Mitch Albom's audience. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. You as well. Thank you.
All right. We are going to take a quick break. And after the break, we're going to talk about the TikTok ban and what that means. There's 100 million Americans who have downloaded TikTok. Are you one of them? Big change is coming. But first, let's check traffic with Michael Stetz.
Road at Michigan Avenue, and in Livingston County, you're a slow go right now on US 23 northbound between Clyde Road and Owen Road. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Mainly clear skies with a low of 61 degrees tonight. Mostly sunny for Saturday with a high tomorrow of 83. Right now it's 78 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 1 minute.
Inevitability of heart attack or stroke. That it was somehow predestined in our genes, inherited.
All right, Kevin. So
hey, Dave,
you spent the whole week with Eric and myself. I'm sure that you're sick of us by now. What plans do you have this weekend to just relax and get over dealing with us this week?
I am absolutely not relaxing this weekend. It's my daughter's 22nd birthday this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And my wife and my other daughter had to go up north for family reasons. And so I am in charge of my daughter's birthday party, and we're going to she's going to have some friends over, and we're going to try and social distance, and they're going to try and have a pool party, and they're going to try and sit 6 feet away from each other. And somehow I'm going to put together some sort of Mexican burrito bar or taco bar or something. There's a whole list of instructions waiting for me to figure out. And I'm gonna feed a bunch of 20-year-olds and keep them safe. That's what I'm gonna do. Does that sound relaxing?
No, it does not. I also had a birthday during the pandemic, which was very
What month? Which part of the pandemic?
March 28th.
So right when it was really heated. Yeah. So
Danielle Mason, who works here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We shared the same birthday, so we both had a birthday during the pandemic, which was just very uneventful.
So did you Zoom birthday, or did you just have dinner with something? Nothing. You just worked and watched TV.
Yeah, it was nothing.
There goes my birthday daughter right there. I'm walking through the background.
There we go.
She's taking care of the dog for me right now to make sure the dog doesn't
very nice
go crazy.
Clay also had a birthday during the pandemic. Okay.
Okay. So in June 20th. I think March was a little like crazier and scarier. Everything was shutting down. It was fast. By June, we were kind of in the mode, and then it got when the second wave heated up, made it tough too. I did a wedding and a funeral in the COVID, not my own wedding or funeral, but I went to a wedding and I went to a funeral, and those were both impacted, made things very weird. My birthday's in December, so I got mine in just before the pandemic, and hopefully when it comes around again, the whole world will be completely normal.
My niece's birthday's in December. So
what do you know? What day? Do you know?
Christmas.
Oh, Christmas. My nephew is born on Christmas Day.
Yeah. So
my son is born in December, 1 week after me. So I have a birthday. Then a week later, my son has a birthday.
Oh, my dad's birthday was December 17th.
I'm the 2nd.
Okay, there you go.
Early in December.
Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be like in December. It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be cold. Well, the heat didn't kill the coronavirus. Maybe the cold will. Maybe winter will.
I don't know about that. Good luck. Your next guest is
on the phone. All right.
They can't stop people from coming in.
Yeah, Clay, we pray for complete normalcy, whatever that may be.
The election will be over by my birthday, Clay. We'll see what that brings.
People always talk about the new normal, so
I don't know.
Be very interesting.
Yeah. I hope it gets close to the old normal.
I agree.
I think a lot of the isolation is tough on a lot of people.
It is, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I got 2 kids living at home and a wife, and so it's busy. Yeah, I mean, there's enough activity. But if you didn't, and people aren't going to see each other unnecessarily, it's a lot of alone time.
It seemed like we were doing a lot of Zooms and FaceTimes at the beginning. And then it kind of slowed down, and we kind of got away from it.
I'd like to go back to that. I really had fun doing that because I did some FaceTimes with friends in Grand Rapids and other parts of the state, and that I thought that was really fun. It's just someone's got to organize it, but
right, yeah,
I'd like to do that. I got a friend in Denver, and he had sent me a text. I said, "Hey, let's do a Zoom call. I'd like to try and keep those going somehow."
Here we come back.
All right.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
About 100 million Americans have downloaded TikTok, which makes it one of the most popular social media platforms on the planet. President Trump on Thursday invoked his emergency economic powers to impose broad sanctions against TikTok, a move that steps up pressure on the Chinese-owned app to sell its U.S. assets to an American company. Joining us now to break it all down, what it all means, is Adam Roseri, Chief Marketing Officer at Agency Partner Interactive. Adam, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Kevin, my pleasure, sir.
So, what is your first take about what the president is doing, and where TikTok has come, and how big it is, and what kind of impact it has on our kids and really all of us?
You know, Kevin, it's a good thing that I went to China for study abroad as a college student, because what I'm about to tell you, they're never going to let me back in. Ultimately, the president issued 2 executive orders yesterday because the spread of these applications in the United States that are owned by the People's Republic of China threatens our national security, our foreign policy, and it also threatens the U.S. economy. So ultimately, the way they're using and harvesting all of this user data, obviously data that's specific to our kids, a lot of Gen Zs, and now a lot of millennials since the pandemic. And like you said, over 100 million downloads. We're actually looking at 175 million downloads in the U.S. alone, 1 billion globally, right? So TikTok as an app, it captures a wealth of user data. It follows your location history, so it knows where you're going, where you've been, and it can actually predict where you're about to go, which is pretty extraordinary. Captures your browsing and your search history. In some cases, it actually captures your passwords. So this obviously creates a lot of exposure. And being as such that ByteDance is the owner of TikTok, well, who's the owner of ByteDance, right? It's the Chinese Communist Party. So now you've got the CCP with all of this information specific to Americans' personal and proprietary data, right? We're talking about an ability now to track the location of federal employees, contractors. There was actually U.S. naval aviators on TikTok showing some really cool videos, by the way. But this is information that goes straight to the CCP. You're able to track battle groups, governmental installations, and at a personal level, you can actually just conceive it that the CCP could actually build a dossier of personal information and use that really for blackmail and even corporate espionage. It's really crazy.
So it's not like Facebook can't do all of this as well. It's just that TikTok is owned by China, basically, and we don't want China knowing where all of us are at all times and knowing everything we do and what we've been up to.
Exactly right. I mean, the majority of the risk here, because this app collects data that isn't really unlike a lot of the apps that are out there, but it's really this question of data sovereignty and, where is it stored and who has access to it, right? So, obviously in the executive orders, there were 2 of them that were issued. One of them called out TikTok specifically. The other one called out an app called WeChat. WeChat actually is an app that is really heavily used by Chinese nationals. Most Americans don't really care about WeChat, don't really use it. But this is an application that the government of China basically uses to monitor the activity of Chinese citizens while they're over here in the U.S. or over in Europe. So they're basically, monitoring what their citizens are doing when the citizens are a little bit farther away from home.
So TikTok has a CEO that is an American, though, right? And didn't they try to say that you don't have to worry because this American CEO would not put you at risk? Was that just not bought by the president?
TikTok tried to do everything right as it pertains to creating distance between themselves and Beijing. And to your question, they did hire Kevin Mayer from Disney. He was Disney's head of streaming, but they hired him, I think, in May. And at the end of the day, though, I mean, everything kind of trickles to the top, right? And if you look at TikTok's privacy policy specifically, the privacy policy alone very clearly states that TikTok as a company has every legal right. And as a user, you consent to this, but they have every right to share the information that you share with their affiliates, their subsidiaries, and also their corporate affiliations. So, even though they have an American CEO, they have every right and ability to share information beyond our borders. And you have to expect that they're probably doing that as well.
So you're saying all these people in America who downloaded TikTok didn't read that agreement before they clicked accept?
You mean like every time I get a new update on my phone, right? And I consent to those terms and conditions. Tell you what, I don't think I've read a single word of that besides the words that say accept, because ultimately people just give up so much just to be able to do whatever it is that app can do, right? People consent to so much and just really don't even understand what they're exchanging for the value that they're after. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's so common now. We're just used to basically saying yes to everything because we just want what that cool, shiny object can do.
So Microsoft said they want to try and buy it. What's the status of the U.S. company purchasing parts of the company?
You know, I think Microsoft's in a really good position to make this kind of work out for them. You know, since 2007 actually was a year when Microsoft invested about $240 million into Facebook, and Facebook was just a 3-year-old company at the time. So Microsoft has always seen the value in social media, and the value in social really is in that user data, because you can use it for so many different things. So, you know, as where things stand now with Microsoft, I would say that the actions and the executive orders that the president issued yesterday really gives them a ton of leverage. You know, basically, the president put a huge coupon on TikTok for Microsoft. With this increasing level of distaste for TikTok and Chinese-owned apps throughout the world, they're really kind of now forced to sort of look at this as kind of like an opportunity, like a quick revenue play. You know, it's just, oh man, like this thing is going away, and for us to squeeze any value out of this, you know, we have to basically sell this thing to Microsoft and then walk away, and then let our hackers do their job and try to go after that same user data through a different channel.
So China can't be happy about it. How do they get even with the United States and President Trump?
Well, let me just put this in front of you. So as a digital marketer, one of the things that I always do is I test out new platforms. TikTok was one of those platforms, and I got halfway through the business verification process. Things seemed a little shady, a little bit weird. I stopped, and that same week, my company business pages on Google started being attacked. Ultimately, hackers started trying to gain access to my company's pages and literally take them over. So how does China get back at us? It's going to be indirect, but it's going to be probably fairly apparent. We're just going to see a lot of online activity, especially as the election dials up, of Chinese IP addresses going after corporate data, financial data, personal data. Ultimately, it's going to be an information war.
All right, Adam Rosari, Chief Marketing Officer, Agency Partner Interactive. Thanks for joining us on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
All right, we'll talk again soon. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back from that break, we're going to introduce you to a local FBI agent who went undercover in a biker gang, and it led to one of the biggest busts in the history of the United States. You're going to want to come back for that. But right now, let's check in with traffic and Michael Stetz.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by the Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing with nagging body pain? The Restore Wellness Center will reduce the pain in scar tissue, improve blood flow, nerve function, and muscle stimulation. The state's best non-invasive laser therapy treatments will reduce your pain. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or RestoreWellnessCenter.com. In Oakland County, an accident on 75 southbound at 696. That's blocking the right shoulder. And in Wayne County, you're moving slowly right now on the Southfield southbound between Ford Road and Michigan Avenue. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. Wine lovers, announcing this year's Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. For just $28 with dinner, you'll enjoy 7 remarkable varietals from wine enthusiast winemaker of the year, Dave Finney. Enjoy at the Capitol Grill or in your own home. Call 248-649-5300 or visit thecapitolgrill.com.
Warming things up, feeling more like summertime for this weekend here in the Motor City. 80 degrees this afternoon with comfortable low humidity. Lows tonight, upper 50s near 60, and then mid and upper 80s for the weekend with the chance for showers early next week, Sunday, Monday. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
To talk about CertaPro painters. That's right.
Hey, Dave, I tracked down our wine expert from yesterday.
Yeah, what happened?
She got into some deep conversation or something with her daughter and spaced it, completely spaced out.
Oh man!
So I got a cell phone number for her. So next time I'm on with you, we'll track down the wine lady and find out whatever it was we were supposed to find out about wine in Michigan, because I don't think we gave a lot of great information.
I thought Eric gave Eric and
his wife knew a lot. He had some stuff with his wife.
Yeah, exactly. Eric had a lot of information from his wife, and yeah.
I gave that great tip about putting an ice cube in your wine. We made it work. I actually, I was driving to my nephew's graduation party after the show last night, and so I wanted to hear how that was, because the guest bailed, so we were kind of dancing, and I listened back to it. It was fine. It was like you don't even notice.
It was great. Yeah, not a problem. Your next guest, by the way, is on the line. So
that's good.
But yeah, I thought we handled it fine. I thought we've done well all week. We've come up with interesting topics, and it kept it going, kept it interesting.
Yeah, it keeps you awake when your guest doesn't show.
There you go. Yeah, gotta fill the time. Gotta love live radio.
Right.
People can see a little bit behind the scenes.
Also, they get to see all of a sudden I start sweating, dripping down my forehead.
What is it that you never let them see you never let them see you sweat?
Well, you can do that in radio normally, but if you're on Facebook Live, they're gonna see you sweat.
This is a whole new thing. This to StreamYard, and as Paul W. likes to say, it's television, it's radio turning into television.
Yeah, except you're hanging around during the commercials.
Well, that's right, Clay. The phones did go down. I don't think I.
Oh, that's right.
I was working that day when the phones went down.
Oh boy, I was here. We had like 45 minutes. We didn't even realize the phones were down.
Got it. So you
we're
guys,
like nobody's calling. Nobody cares.
You guys covering. So my guests aren't calling. No callers.
It was opening day, so I literally just told any baseball story I could think of for 40 minutes.
There you go. All right, we're coming back here.
All right.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
About 25 years ago, I met an FBI agent in Detroit named Ned Timmons. We hit it off, and over the years have shared a lot of stories. But the story he's sharing in a new podcast called Deep Undercover, The Drug Wars, will blow your mind. Today, it sits in the top 10 of all true crime podcasts in the entire country. I want to play a little bit of the trailer for you, so listen to this.
About a year ago, I heard about this guy, a former FBI agent named Ned Timmons. And Ned, he had this crazy story. I almost couldn't believe it. It went something like this. Back in the 80s, Ned was a rookie at the FBI. And one night, he arrests a fugitive at this biker bar. And Ned's wife at the time was also an FBI agent. And she started to worry.
When you hang around that long with a bunch of bad guys, fitting in with them, your behavior is going to change, and where you draw the line changes.
But this was just the beginning, Ned tells me. He would go on to live his double life for years, and eventually uncover a vast criminal conspiracy. It involved celebrities, the CIA, a dictator down in Central America. Not just that. Ultimately, it leads to a war. I mean, a full-scale U.S. invasion.
And joining us now on the Mitch Albom Show is my friend Ned Timmons. Ned, thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome, Kevin.
Wow, you got to be just thrilled with the way this podcast is coming together. I know another episode drops every week, so you kind of have to stay tuned to get to the end. But I started listening to this thing, and the person who put it together is fantastic storyteller. The story is amazing. Tell me, first of all, how this kind of came together, this story of you going undercover in a biker gang. How did it become a podcast, and how did it get to the top 10 of true crime podcasts?
Well, there was a producer out in Hollywood that had some connections, and he got wind of this story and contacted me, and he sent a journalist, Jake Halprin, who is a journalism professor at Yale. And we spent about 2 years interviewing mostly smugglers and people that had taken part in this or had some connection to this whole undercover and drug investigation.
How do you like it so far? I know maybe you've already heard all the episodes, but as you hear them coming out one by one, it's interesting. The way he's telling the story, it's as if this reporter, Jake Halprin, doesn't believe your story. He thinks it's BS, but he digs into it, and bit by bit, each part of your story seems to be holding up so far through 4 episodes.
Right. He interviews everybody that had anything to do with each incident or each activity that went on, and verified all of it. And they had, girls that were fact checkers and checked everything, and they got their hands on FBI reports and verified the whole thing. And it was pretty bizarre the way it unfolded.
So that little tease there, it said that you went undercover in this Detroit biker bar, and it leads to an invasion of Panama. That's hard to believe. I get it why he's skeptical. It mentioned celebrities. Tell us a little bit about this story. Take us through it in a couple of minutes here.
Well, it starts with the arrest of a motorcycle gang fugitive, and it leads to 2 or 3 different people. The guy had done time in 7 federal penitentiaries, and he kind of had to cooperate. But he ends up introducing us to a person that was involved in this massive smuggling operation. And it was a lot of it was being flown into Michigan and landing at Antrim County Airport up in the upper lower peninsula. There were tractor trailer loads of drugs coming into Michigan and stored in a warehouse on 8 Mile. But it ended up that he agreed to introduce me to the #1 guy down in the Cayman Islands. And the stars had to align to be right. The guy had to be vulnerable. He needed help. His #1 right-hand man had been arrested in Tampa. And so I got into him, and it was the first time I know that the Bureau had an undercover agent working offshore. There may have been things that I didn't know about, but anyway, so I spent some time in the Cayman Islands with the bad guys, with the smugglers, and we found out that the Caymans, which was the 7th largest banking center in the world, couldn't handle the money they were bringing in anymore. They were flying Learjets full of money out of Willow Run Airport, money right to the windows, flying it into the Caymans. And the Cayman banks got leery, so they had to look for another place to put their money. These guys had so much money, they weighed it. They didn't have time to count it. It burned up the engines in the money counting machines. And they developed a relationship with General Noriega. And towards the end of this, they were able to fly money in pallets, 5-foot by 5-foot pallets of hundreds and 20s into Panama, and it would be picked up by the military and deposited in Panamanian banks. But through working in the Caymans undercover with the top smugglers, we were able to develop this information, and it evolved into these people we arrested testifying at the Kerry Commission, and provided basically the thrust of the information to go after Noriega and invade Panama.
But you talk about this huge, massive warehouse of drugs and all this money moving around in the Detroit area, and none of the federal agencies knew anything about this until you're over messing around, arresting a biker for who knows what, but not for some major drug operation. It just sort of turns out that this guy you arrest has a brother who knows a guy who has an in, and somehow you're able to get from a one-person arrest at a biker bar in Detroit to this massive drug operation. I mean, it's incredible.
You know, it was a joint effort by 7 different divisions of the FBI. Only the FBI could have worked a case this massive. In the end, we indicted and convicted 300 smugglers. And it involved Tampa, North Carolina, Miami, Denver, Dallas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Detroit, obviously. But it was very gratifying to see how the agents worked this, how they worked as a team. And, 300 people is a lot of people. And these drugs were being distributed all over the U.S. They had a marketing system and a system of delivery. They had a house in Farmington Hills, just south on Orchard Lake there, and it was filled with money. It was like 2 to 3 feet deep in money from the sales that would come back into this area.
I really liked how they had interviews with your ex-wife, and she's talking about you being undercover in this biker organization and growing this Fu Manchu beard and pretty much starting to act like these lunatics that are in this biker gang. Which gang was this that you were investigating?
I'd rather not mention it. But it grew and grew. And when I started hearing about it, and we started comparing phone records down in Tampa, and the phones we were looking at up here were calling Tampa. They were calling North Carolina where loads had come in, and checking with the Wilmington FBI office. They said, yeah, we had a shrimp boat we seized down here, but we didn't get any bodies with it. But we got like 40,000 pounds of weed. But it all started to get connected. And what was really impressive, as I said, it was how the FBI had the power to work this case, had each office, worked together and as a team, and there was no animosity. And it was just a massive case. Every location had 20, 30, or 100 different subjects in their bailiwick.
Well, it was brave of you to go undercover. It was great that your bosses allowed you to do it, and it's really unbelievable that it led to such a big bust. And when you take that much drugs and money off the streets, you're definitely making a difference in the community and most certainly saving lives. Ned Timmons, thanks for being on the show. People, if you have not heard of it, it is Deep Cover. You can find it anywhere where you get your podcast. Just search for it. Deep Cover, the Drug Wars. It's in the top 10 in the country in true crime, and it's basically the story of a local FBI agent. Ned, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, let's check traffic with Michael Stetz.
In Oakland County, an accident on 75 southbound at 696 that has the right shoulder blocked. And in Wayne County, you're moving slowly right now on the Southfield southbound between Ford Road and Michigan Avenue. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Carpenters Labor Management Partnership Team. Make a career change today and join the skilled trades. The Carpenters LMPT contractors are looking for professional, hardworking individuals that want to build a career with great pay, full retirement, and family health care. Text JOB to 855-424-2562. That's JOB to 855-424-2562. Mainly clear skies with a low of 61 tonight. Right now it's 78 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News. Next.
A knew I had to be strong. I just remember
That was a cool interview.
Yeah, you got to check out this podcast. It's really well done, and this Jake Halpern guy is just a fabulous storyteller. The way he weaves it is great. Ned's unbelievable. Ned's got a million stories.
Very cool. I bet it is very cool. Listen to. I bet it's a really popular podcast.
Oh my gosh! I've known Ned for 25 years. We kind of came through Detroit together. He's older than I am, but man, the cases he was on, he was always out of the country, all over the world, chasing this thing down, and really couldn't talk about it. He could talk about stuff after people were busted, or follow these different court cases. So I was covering these biker busts, and talking about the drug raids and things like that. But he was always moving to the next phase of this thing, and I can't believe, I really honestly how he could keep it a secret. It was so big.
Cool. Yeah. Very James Bondish.
Yes. Clay.
Yeah,
we're getting up there.
Speaker muted.
More than 65,000.
Yeah, very cool.
If they're allowed to retain games, there will be hand sanitizer throughout the stadiums at designated entries, and fans will have to wear a mask.
So the Lions sent out their season ticket stuff to the season to the
yeah, so you can get your money back.
I don't know. No, they had the plans for games. I don't know how many people are
did
get in, but
they can opt out.
Season ticket holders apparently can opt out.
That's what I thought I read.
Yeah.
I wonder if you lose your seat choice if you opt out. Like, how everyone wants to be in the 50-yard line?
I don't know. That's a good question. You got a lot of people in Detroit that have had tickets to the Lions for all these years.
You got a lot of people every year who give them up and just can't take it anymore. They just can't take it for one more year.
A lot of people, generations. I'll tell you what, football, it's amazing. No matter how bad the Lions are, no matter how good the Lions are, the fans always show up.
Yeah, see, I love going
NFL football.
I love going to college football. I love going up to Michigan State and Michigan and tailgate, watch the games. I just love all of that. But on Sunday, I just want to watch on TV. I just want to watch on TV.
Yeah, I think that the invention of the big screen television has and the Sunday NFL ticket in fantasy football has kind of
the red zone.
Yeah, have kind of hampered people going to the games.
Yeah, but people still go. I mean,
they still, of course. Yeah.
I would be exhausted Sunday if I tried to go to the game on Sunday. I like to just take it all in from the couch.
Yep. I hear you, but they're Detroit fans. That's one. This town, the fans are diehard, especially when it comes to the Lions. For as much stuff as the Detroit Lions have put the fans through, it's a great fan base.
No, it really is.
They still stay loyal.
But pro football is so cool. I mean,
football's king for sure. I mean.
How's our boy Steve Kastenbaum? He call?
He's not called yet. We're still waiting for him.
How come those guys always call late? Because we tell them the real time?
Yeah, I mean, that's just what they do.
We should just tell them fake times.
Right. Yeah, call it like a couple minutes early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they do it. And he might be doing a
someone else
a report in the top of the hour news for somebody else. Who knows? Kastenbaum. Who knows what they have going on? So I'm sure he'll call in a minute. Now we still got a couple minutes for him.
Yep.
So, thoughts on the Olympics, Clay? The Olympics are cool. I mean, postponed for.
I mean, politics get involved in the Olympics quite frequently now with COVID. I don't know what's going to happen. When are they scheduled?
Hold on a second.
When are they, Clay?
WJR.
What are the Alpha?
Oh.
Good. How are you? Thanks for calling in. I will get you on hold and get you on with Kev real quick. Okay.
Lucky for us, ethanol not only helps engine performance.
Shark Week. What's your favorite shark?
Steve Kastenbaum is ready to roll.
All right.
Yeah, the Olympics got pushed back to next year, so we'll see. Hopefully, they'll be able to have them.
My wife went into like the deepest, darkest.
Hopefully, they'll be able to have the Olympics. I like the Olympics. You know, Summer Olympics, Winter
I love
Olympics.
the Olympics.
Yeah, it's cool.
Sometimes it takes me a minute to get into them, but
Yeah.
they do a great job of like telling you a little story about each person, you know, before they have their event, and it's all packaged nicely. I like that how they do that in the NFL draft too. Tell me about the players that are likely to get drafted, and then
here we come.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
New York's Attorney General is suing the National Rifle Association, seeking to put the powerful gun advocacy organization out of business with claims that top executives diverted millions of dollars to themselves and their friends. Will they be able to do it? Joining us now is correspondent Steve Kastenbaum. Steve, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thanks for having me. The Attorney General filed this lawsuit yesterday and held a news conference early in the day. You know, she built up a lot of expectations for her news conference because she's also in charge of several investigations into President Trump and the Trump organization. So when she said she was going to hold a news conference of national interest, I don't think anyone was prepared to hear that she was actually suing the National Rifle Association to try to dissolve the organization.
Yeah, so I was actually watching Twitter, and it was, all of a sudden, hey, there's going to be this press conference. Oh, what is it going to be about? This is going to be big. Is it going to be about the president's taxes or a million other things? It was pretty surprising, actually, that it didn't leak out what it was about, really, before they started talking about it. What do you think it means now that it's been filed?
You know, she is saying that charities, nonprofits that operate in New York must abide by the laws in New York governing charities. And she claims that the NRA violated those laws, and it had to do with their financial operations, claiming that as much as $65 million over the course of several years was misappropriated, and that this happened at the very top of the organization with Wayne LaPierre and three others named. She said that they had a culture there of basically ignoring the law and doing whatever they wanted to do with money that was supposed to be used for the purpose of the nonprofit. The NRA, though, is being sued in civil court, not in criminal court. The burden of proof is less in civil court, and many of these civil cases filed by the Attorney General's office in New York often wind up with a settlement many months down the road. So it remains to be seen what happens in this particular case. But the organization, you know, it had been chartered here many years ago, but it's headquartered in Fairfax, Virginia.
So are they talking about pulling away its status to be a nonprofit for violations? Because the NRA would not be the first nonprofit to have people at the top commit fraud. It happens over and over again. Nonprofits taking money that's intended for one thing and using it for themselves.
Yeah, the NRA, though, has been in financial trouble for a while, and this is not the first time that these leaders of the organization have been accused of misappropriation. There's been some scandals, you could say, reported over the last couple of months, last year. And so this is a continuation of that, questioning how the organization was run, what was being done with donations that were meant to be used in order to protect the rights of gun owners, as well as promote gun programs around the world, around the United States. I mean, rather things like, marksmanship competitions, for example, as a sport, and other gun activities. And gun safety too. So Wayne LaPierre has come under fire before. Attorney General Letitia James claims that he personally went to the Bahamas multiple times on private jets for really lavish vacations with his family, and that the NRA was billed for it.
So has the president weighed in on this yet? I mean, is this being perceived as politics, or is this being seen as a true investigation into basically people in a nonprofit who are fraudulent criminals?
Well, the current NRA's president said that this was politically motivated, that this was an abusive office. In fact, they filed a counter lawsuit against the New York AG alleging just that she's abusing her power, that these are baseless claims. The president of the United States said that the NRA should move to Texas, that this is a horrible thing. But the NRA isn't in New York, they're in Virginia. So some people scratched their heads after that statement.
So, well, how do you see it? How do you see it play out? And why? And can you get a little deeper into why this is a civil case and not a criminal case?
Yeah, she was asked that, and again, it has to do with the burden of proof. And she is also seeking to dissolve the entire organization. I'm not sure that that's something that can be done through the criminal system. You know, she's and these civil cases often result in a back and forth between the law enforcement office and the people being sued. So one would imagine that a dialogue at some point would begin. And I don't think anybody who covers these types of civil suits filed by attorney generals in any of the 50 states would be surprised if some sort of settlement is reached at some point.
Yeah, it's a civil case only has to be like 51%. It's a preponderance of the evidence. But in a case like this, I mean, this is a money trail. It's follow the money. Look at the bank accounts. Did they spend money? Where did they spend money? It's the kind of case that often is pretty easy to prove in a criminal case. And if she wanted to take out the organization, she might have had a good chance of doing it by taking out the leadership in a criminal case.
Yeah, and she was also asked whether or not she would be passing this information on to the IRS, because there were also allegations of tax evasion. It's something that's being looked at, she said, but they hadn't done that yet. So there's more to come in this case for sure.
Does this weaken the NRA's ability to influence followers in the election, or is this really not going to make a difference in how people vote?
You know, the NRA has had some financial difficulties in recent months, so they are certainly limited in what they can do by that. And this just builds upon that fact that their funds are limited right now because of a number of questionable decisions that were made.
So what's the next step in the lawsuit? They will have some certain amount of time to answer these allegations, I suspect.
Right. In fact, the counter lawsuit was filed very quickly. Now there'll have to be some sort of preliminary hearing about that, where a judge will have to take into account the argument being made by the NRA's attorneys that this is frivolous and an abuse of power. There would be some arguments back from the Attorney General's office. I'm not sure when that first initial hearing on that matter will be taking place, though.
Yeah, so maybe the media didn't know what the press conference was going to be about, but maybe the NRA did. Maybe they were ready for it. Correspondent Steve Kastenbaum, thanks for being with us on the Mitch Albom Show.
My pleasure. Take care.
Have a great weekend. After the break, we're going to take care of your COVID fix. We're going to talk to Robin Erb of Bridge, Michigan, who has information on an interesting study about whether or not people are willing to take a vaccine when there is one for COVID. So come back after the break. Right now, let's check in with traffic and Michael Stetz.
Thank you very much, Kevin. WJR Traffic First, sponsored by Marathon. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. In Oakland County, an accident on 75 southbound at 696. That's blocking the right shoulder. And in Wayne County, you're moving slowly right now on 94 westbound between 75 and Trumbull Street. Now WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel.
Our high today near 80 degrees. Our low tonight 60 with beautiful sunshine and low humidity to enjoy again today. High pressure up across the UP, giving us some comfortable weather to get us into the weekend with mid-80s tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
Your next guest is ready to go, Kevin.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Olympic hockey, yes. Olympic hockey is awesome. When you watch the Olympics, do you watch all the countries or do you just watch the United States?
I just watched the United States.
Women's figure skating outranks men's. Women's figure skating is awesome.
Women's figure skating outranks men's football?
No, I think. Oh, outranks men's football. I thought they meant outranks men's figure skating.
No,
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe car racing outranks American football, but or soccer in the world or something.
Oh,
but
yeah.
not much. Isn't NASCAR claimed to have like the largest fan base or audience or something?
I don't know about that. NASCAR's popular. I don't know about that.
Well, Google it. Come on, get on it.
NFL is king. Let's be honest.
It is to me, but I don't know if it is total number of fans. I've never watched NASCAR or.
I used to produce a NASCAR show, so I used to go to MIS twice a year, and we were invited to Homestead for the championship, and we were invited to Daytona.
We went once to do an undercover investigation on bad behavior.
Really?
Hidden cameras, bad behavior at what's it called? MIS?
At MIS out in Brooklyn, really?
Yeah.
Long
time ago.
When I was an intern.
There's a lot of underage drinking and shenanigans as we.
I bet. In the infield? I bet.
Yeah. It's like Jobby Nooner on land.
When I was an intern, I did one undercover case in my life, and it was about suburban gangs, and there was like a hotline, and I went to U.S. Blades in West Bloomfield, and I posed as a high schooler, even though I had already graduated from college, and I was able to get the number, and we were able to do the story. It was great.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was neat. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
It's not exactly what Ned Timmons was doing with the FBI, but it's a little piece of it.
It was cool. I
went undercover and joined the KKK.
Did you really? Oh, my. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that later because we're coming back.
All right.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Question number 1. If a vaccine is developed that would protect you from the coronavirus and is free to everybody who wants it, would you take it? Definitely, probably not, definitely not. The answer's in a minute. Question number 2. For those who indicated they would not get a vaccine, would you get a coronavirus vaccine? Would you not get one because primarily you're concerned the vaccine was rushed and not sufficiently tested? Do not trust vaccines in general. Do not think a vaccine for the coronavirus is needed, or because you have other concerns about vaccines, or maybe undecided. To find out and dig into this new poll is our friend Robin Erb from Bridge, Michigan. Robin, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thanks for showing up early this time. Very nice of you. So tell us about this story that you did and what you found and who did this survey and what they found. I really found it interesting, the results.
You know, I did too. Bridge, Michigan teamed up with Epic MRA, which is a Lansing survey firm, polling firm, late last month. And we asked 600 Michiganders a number of questions. And one of those was about the vaccine. I've been interested in knowing how people have felt about this for a while, being the health writer. And what we found was that 3 out of 10 Michiganders, and we surveyed 600, 3 out of 10 of them said, thanks, but no thanks, I'll pass. They were mostly concerned that the vaccine was just being rushed too much.
So if that were to hold true, what would that mean for health departments and the big plan?
That means they've got a lot of work ahead of them. Health departments, doctors tell us that we need to achieve a certain herd immunity to really beat back COVID-19. And herd immunity means enough of the population is immune to the virus that it's less likely or highly unlikely that the virus would get to those who are not immune to it. Depending on how contagious a disease is, you need a higher herd immunity. So we don't know what that is right now, but we believe it's going to be pretty high. And with 70%, only 66%, I should say, of people saying they would get a vaccine, that's really concerning for public health.
So if it went that way, we wouldn't really be able to knock down the virus because not enough people would be taking the vaccine, or not enough people would be catching it. We'd be stuck somewhere in that middle ground.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the numbers: 38% said they would definitely get it. 28% said they'd probably get it. So that's good. But 12% said they probably would not get it, and 18% they would definitely not get it. So that 18% really needs to be worked on. So when you guys looked at why they definitely won't get it or probably won't get it, what was the answers? What were the reasons?
Sure. Well, it broke down, the biggest reason, again, was people felt it was rushed. So I did do some interviews this week. I was talking to people this week. Exactly what does that mean? And essentially, it breaks down. There are people who feel like they're not against vaccines in general. They feel like politics is pushing the science here. And then, of course, there are folks who just have concerns about vaccines in general. But we talked to a lot of people who said, look, I'll line up if I'm assured that this hasn't been rushed. But right now, I just feel like politics is pushing us.
Okay, I'm going to tell you my answers here, and you tell me why I'm wrong. Okay, so I would say I would be at the 28% who probably would get it, or the 12% who probably would not get it. I would kind of be on the fence, and the reason I wouldn't get it is because, one, I'd like to see how other people who get it first. And I guess that would be the whole idea, that it's been rushed. But I trust that if they come out and say it's ready to go, then it's probably ready to go. So I wouldn't be crazy worried about it. But the other reason is because I feel, even though I'm getting closer to the age that would be vulnerable, I'm not really there. I'm in my early mid-50s, and I would not feel like I needed to rush to get it. I wouldn't have to be the first one to get it. Like if I got it a little later on, or the second round, I would be okay. And I would imagine that young people who you talk to really would be that. No, I'm not getting it. You're gonna give me the vaccine, and I'm going to end up catching COVID from the vaccine.
So there are two great points. Two great points in this. So one, they're not going to be pushing out a vaccine until it's tested. And you probably know that there are a number of vaccines under development now, and there's a large clinical study into a certain vaccine right now. They're asking 30,000 volunteers to help them with this clinical trial. So they're not rushing any of these to market without that testing. These have to go through rigorous review in the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. Just a terrible name, but this ACIP committee advises the CDC on when they feel a vaccine is safe. We talked to folks with that committee, and they say, look, well, the testing gets scrubbed. A vaccine gets scrubbed at the first sign that it's got adverse effects or it's not effective. So there are a number of steps that have to happen before anything comes to market. And the other point is, this is not going to happen tomorrow.
So the bigger problem is this 21% who have concerns about vaccines in general.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Am I reading that right? Is that what that number is? They just don't like vaccines?
Well, no, I mean, among all those different reasons, I mean, there are some in those reasons that do. Yeah, they're just concerned generally about vaccines.
That's a big number. That 21% it seems like a really big number of people who are concerned about vaccines in general.
Well, that number's been climbing over the last few years. More and more folks are more hesitant now to get vaccines. Interestingly enough, though, when I was doing interviews, those who said they wouldn't take the vaccine, or they would not want the COVID vaccine, many of them said, no, I don't want a vaccine. But when I pressed them, they do, in fact, get their kids inoculated against, let's say, measles. So I think there's some confusion, or there's an acceptance of some of these tried and true vaccines, and people do get a bit confused when they're talking about the newer ones versus, let's say, measles, which they accept, more readily. Now, of course, there's still plenty of people too who are very concerned about just any vaccine. But all of this is to say, and I'm kind of rambling, but all of this is to say that it is very confusing. There are no easy answers here, and people are really trying to sort this through.
So, are the medical professionals surprised by this poll that you talked to, or is this about what they expected? Do they anticipate a lot of work ahead of them in education and reassuring people? Yeah. Or did these numbers kind of jump out and say, we got a lot more work than I thought?
The medical professionals I talked to were not surprised that there is some hesitation. They know that there's a campaign ahead of them, but they were surprised that the numbers were this high.
And what about the so many different people trying to come up with a vaccine? The government's throwing money at this company and that company and another company. It sort of gives you the impression that there is a race. It's like the space race. It's a vaccine race, and I understand people saying, "Well, no, I'm not in a hurry to be the first one." If they're in such a hurry, why should I? Don't want to be in such a hurry. I'd rather wait till everybody gets their vaccine in, and then we do some clinical studies on all of them, and then see which one works best, and then give me my shot.
Yeah, well, this is a very, very deadly virus, so you can understand why everything is sped up. And at the end of the day, you also, as a consumer, you have to look at your risk both ways too. You may not want the risk of the vaccine, but do you want to take the risk of getting COVID, which has killed, more than 6,000 Michiganders already.
Right.
So you do have, there are a lot of calculations you have to make as a consumer.
I know this isn't part of the study, I guess, but did you ask anyone, or did anyone mention if they routinely get flu shots? If people who get flu shots, are they more likely to get a COVID shot? Or if people who don't get flu shots, more likely not to get a COVID shot?
It wasn't part of the survey we did. In my interviews, I did ask people that. And it didn't seem to correlate. I didn't press them on that, I'll be honest. But certainly we had folks that we talked to who did get flu shots and those who did not.
Yeah, it's funny. I talk to a lot of people about flu shots, and a lot of people will say, "No, I don't get those. I just feel like I'm more likely to get the flu if I get the flu shot, and I don't want to get the flu."
Well, don't be surprised. This year, there's going to be a big campaign for those flu shots, because doctors are really worried that if we face a real big resurgence in COVID-19, the last thing we need to do in healthcare is to have hospitals full of patients fighting flu. I mean, flu can be mild, but flu can also be deadly. So there's a real concern that flu patients will fill up the hospitals at the same time that COVID comes back in a real big way. So expect to see a lot of campaigning about those flu shots this year.
I don't know if people are going to get the flu, because I don't know if they're ever going to let us take our masks off and get within 6 feet of each other. So I think the flu is going to be no problem this year, because we're not going to be able to talk to each other in person yet when the flu season comes around. Robin Erb, Bridge, Michigan, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Bye now.
All right. Let's check traffic and weather with Michael Stetz.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by Shelving.com. In your change work environment, maximize space and increase performance in your manufacturing facility, warehouse, school, or home with Shelving.com's durable wire metal shelving and pallet racks. Order today at Shelving.com and get a free design consultation and 11% off. That's Shelving.com. We rack your world. In Oakland County, some good news. That incident from earlier on 75 southbound at 696, that is now cleared. And downtown in the city, upcoming construction beginning tonight at 8 p.m. on 94 eastbound between Gratiot and 11 Mile. All lanes scheduled to close until 5 a.m. on Monday. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by IBEW Local 58 and the National Electrical Contractors Association, NECA. Put the expertise and skill of NECA signatory contractors and IBEW electricians to work on your commercial, public, industrial, or residential construction projects. Safety and proper PPE use matter more than ever. Start safe, stay safe. www.poweringmichigansfuture.com. Mainly clear skies with a low of 61 tonight. Mostly sunny for Saturday with a high tomorrow of 83. Right now, it's 78 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News. Next.
All right. Coming to the home stretch here, Kev.
All right. The week is almost over, but we can't leave after this one. We gotta hang around for McCarty.
Yeah, he just walked in. He's in here actually. I just came in. I don't know if people saw him walk. Oh, I don't think I was on the stream yet. He walked in behind me. So he's here. We're gonna Eric and I will be on with the next segment with you. So they would give an update on the PGA Championship. The leaders are, I think, at -8 right now.
Yeah, I see that. I just pulled it up. I've been following none of it, but that's okay.
But you'll be watching this weekend.
Yes, I will be. I will be watching. I actually tape recorded all of that today, and I did not tape record yesterday, but I tape recorded today and Saturday and Sunday, and I will likely watch all of it. I'll probably watch all of today tonight, and then I'll watch Saturday and Sunday probably live. But unless I got that crazy birthday party going on.
Oh, that's right, the birthday party. That's right. All right. Sounds good. Sounds like you'll have an eventful weekend.
McCarty was on the team when the Wings won the first time, right? With
yes.
Eiserman and whatnot.
Yes. He was. Yep. Guys, we can do some hockey talk, relive.
We is.
Hockey
we
talk.
will.
Yep.
They're like hockey's like the NBA right now, right? They're trying to get their playoffs.
Yeah, they're in their round robin playing games right now, just like the NBA is finishing off their season, and then they'll start their Stanley Cup tournament, just like the NBA will start their.
And just like the NBA, there's no Detroit team in the hockey round robin.
No Wings, no Pistons.
What happened to us? Jeez.
The agency caught up with us when it all changed, and
we used to be such a sports town.
You know, I mean, they gave it 20-some years of straight up playoffs. I mean, can't ask for much more. The Pistons are in a weird position because they're like in that, they're like in that almost make the playoffs every year, but they can't get that major superstar to get them to the upper level. So, yeah, it's just they're kind of in a weird situation of rebuilding.
Wow.
But they'll be back at some point, just like the Tigers, just like the Wings. They'll all be back at some point. Everything.
I don't know, with Mr. Illich gone, I don't know if Chris is going to spend the money like his father did. Mr. Illich spent a lot of money on the Red Wings and the Tigers.
It was really sad that they had that 10-year span where they had their chance and they didn't get it done.
Yeah, they were close.
They were. Yeah.
Tiger Woods is -1, but he's only on the fourth hole.
Yeah, he bogeyed, I think, par 3 through third, I think. So yeah, he's not putting good today. He's missing by like just a little bit. He's just missing by just a little bit. So yeah, but hopefully he'll get it going. Obviously, we want him. We'd like to see him on the weekend.
Right.
I think the cut right now is at +1. So you want to maybe get to like -3 or something. So -3, -5 would be nice. The problem is the back. He started on the back yesterday and then finished on the front. Starting on the front yesterday and playing the back. I think the back's harder. So. And depending on what the wind's doing out there, so
he's healthy though, right?
He's looking like he's pretty good in the
no,
cold weather.
Sean, we already know about that. Sean will be on because
So
Sean does the Darren
looking
McCarty
pretty.
show with me and
He's looking pretty good. I haven't seen any type of
Jason knows
wincing
about
or
that
anything.
DeChambeau's he was even today, huh? So he's stuck at -2. He's going to be. And you think the cut will be what, about +1? Does it tell you what the cut is there?
+1 right now, I think. But we'll have to wait till the end to see what happens.
Yeah. Ian Poulter at +1. Remember, he had that resurgence last year. He was like almost lost his pro card because he had not won in so long, and then he won a tournament. Then it was like top 10, like 3 or 4 in a row.
Here we come. I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
All right, if you're a golf fan, you know that the PGA Round 2 is underway in San Francisco. Most of the big names are out on the golf course right now. To check in on the first major of 2020, let's bring in Dave Rieger. Dave, is Eric going to join us today as well?
Yeah, Eric's going to be coming in. I think we're also going to have Darren Mccarty, I think, is also going to join us for this segment also.
All right, Darren McCarty, big golf fan. How are you, Darren?
Max, throw your headphones on.
I don't think he's thrown on his headphones yet, so we might have to wait a second for D-Mac.
Right, so the story of day one was Bryson DeChambeau busting his driver. That dude's hitting drives 400 yards, and the head snapped off his driver as he leaned on it to pick up his tee. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. We weren't sure if he was going to get to use another driver or not. It turned out the rules allowed him to use another one, and he actually had another driver in his car, so he was able to continue to hit bomb drives with his backup driver.
Right.
What's the buzz out there today?
Right now, I think it's late in the day. I don't know what the wind is doing, but Eric's going to give us an update here on the leaderboard real quick.
Leaderboard update as soon as this refreshes for me.
Jason Day -8 at the top there.
Jason Day and Ho-Tung Lee are tied for the lead at -8. Tommy Fleetwood, Xander Schauffele, and Cameron Champ are all 6 under. And then you've got a smattering of guys, Paul Casey, Daniel Berger, Brooks Koepka at 5 under.
Okay, so I would have mispronounced Lee's name and Schauffele's name. I would have got
no
Koepka
guarantee
right.
that I didn't pronounce them wrong.
Okay, all right, okay. That's what I was gonna say. I was glad that you read those because I only knew 3 of the top 5 pronunciations.
I think you did a pretty good job. Is Darren?
I think D-Mac is ready.
Yeah, I am, and I was just thinking when Bryson DeChambeau broke his club, I was thinking of you, Dietzy. You hit it so hard that it's surprising that your club head doesn't fall off. How you been?
I've been good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just got off. I'm just cooling down off of 18 off of Indianwood after opening the day at Cattails. So I'm fresh off 36.
Oh, nice. I played yesterday at Lakes of Taylor. That is a beautiful course. Have you ever been down there?
That's a great course. Yeah. Friends with the mayor and a couple of the councilmen. Shout out to everybody down in Taylor. And that's a beautiful course, beautiful clubhouse. And that's definitely, it's funny because there's so many great golf courses, not only in the state, but in the area. You forget how many great ones that they are. You're talking about the frustrating. Yeah. Anybody who knows Indianwood or the old course, there's a lot of heathers out there.
Yeah.
And, I forgot a few times that stuff can really turn your club. So it'll be interesting in the PGA though, watching this because they're playing out west and that wind kicks up. So it'll be interesting to see what guys finish off with today, but it's definitely exciting to have major golf back.
I was going to brag before you went to the PGA. I wanted to brag about my shot on number 17 down there at Lake. That's a beautiful par 3, almost island green down there.
How far?
I hit it. It's like 180,
Nice.
and I hit it to about 5 feet from the pin there. Almost hit a hole in 3 because my first ball went into the water.
I don't care. That's what did you make the putt though? Did you make 4?
Yes.
So great up and down, bro.
There you go.
That's what you look at the positive, man. You just made 180-yard up and down, bro. You're like almost a pro.
almost. We were talking about the PGA and the and DeChambeau and the long ball. I see he's at -2. He's 6 back from the leader. Is the long ball helpful on this particular course? Because it's more helpful on some courses than others.
Well, you got to understand, right? He's doing something and taking angles and putting that scientific brain. The thing, whether you like Bryson DeChambeau or you don't, and I don't like the whiny part of him or the.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you.
I
agree.
I hate that. And Joy Kosher and I were playing golf today, and we were just talking about that. And he told me what he would have done with those fire ants to Bryson. Anyways, but. You know what? It's amazing because he's a guy that goes out and applies it. Doesn't really care what anybody says. And there's something to be respected about him doing it, like getting bulked up and drinking and calories and doing what he's doing and then going out and proving how smart he is because he's taking angles. So you asked me this question and I'm saying, I guess, because he's under par. I mean, he's figuring out different ways to go. What really blew me away is and Joey Kosher used to be a member at Detroit Golf Club where they played the Rocket Mortgage, right? I was blown away by his tee shot on 13. Dortch, you and I were talking about how Joey said they turned number 8 from the north, which was number 1 for the tournament, and where he hit it, where he was just off the green. Joey says, and Joey's one of the longest hitters I know. He goes, I may have a wedge in there if I nut it. So this is something that. You know, it's working. Obviously, he's won with it, but it's something that we haven't seen. It's one of those golf's an ego game. So you hear different things about different guys trying this because the thing that blows me away, he's so accurate with it. Like fairly
not this
accurate.
week. He's not. This guy, he's throwing some weird hooks out there this week. I think you're seeing what everybody said was he's hitting that long ball great. But if he's not accurate with it, he's going to put himself in some rough spots, and he's had a chance to be well closer to the lead than he is. But he just couple times can't put it in the fairway. This rough is kind of thick for them, and there's these trees. Rieger and I were talking about it. These trees just appear to be in the perfect spot to mess with people this week. John Rahm teed off. It hit a tree, fell in the middle of the fairway. He still had he thought his ball was lost. He wanted to hit a provisional off the tee when his ball was in the middle of the fairway.
Well, you know, the DeChambeau, that goes down to the short game, and you could talk about the length clubs and how bad he is even hitting at that. But it's like if we've all watched the long drive contests that have gotten popular recently, right? And now you're seeing what a long driver would do on a PGA golf course. So if he's straight, he'll tear it apart, but he's still got a putt. You still got to get the ball in the hole.
So I like that he bulked up in the offseason, got big and strong. He's looking good, but then he comes out on the green and he's doing math, and he's doing he's just a big, good looking, strong guy, and then he's doing math and kind of blows his image. We're gonna keep the conversation going after the break, but we got to take a quick check of traffic with Michael Stetz.
In Pontiac, road construction has 2 lanes closed on M59 westbound between Paddock Street and the Woodward Loop North. That's scheduled through 7 p.m. this evening. Plan on delays. And downtown in the city, upcoming construction beginning 8 p.m. tonight on 94 eastbound between Gratiot and 11 Mile. All lanes scheduled to close until 5 a.m. on Monday. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. WJR wine lovers. Our friends at the Capitol Grill are excited to announce this year's Generous Pour. For just $28 with dinner, you'll enjoy 7 remarkable varietals from Orange Swift winemaker Dave Finney, Wine Enthusiast Winemaker of the Year. Call 248-649-5300 or visit thecapitolgrill.com.
Well, feeling more like summertime this weekend here in the Motor City. We've enjoyed some really fine weather for the work week. We've got another beautiful day today with comfortable numbers at 80 degrees. Low tonight, 60. Tomorrow, sunshine, mid-80s, and then upper 80s for Sunday and Monday with some hit-and-miss showers. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, and more on News Talk 760 WJR.
All right, Kev.
All right, one more segment, buddy.
One more segment, and we'll be done. It's been a good week.
Is Sean going to join us as well?
Sean is supposed to be joining us. We're waiting for him to dial in here, but Darren is standing by for you.
All right, cool.
I thought that was good. I like how he calls you Dietzy. I like the hockey guys. Everything is always Dietzy or Dorchy or
right.
I love that. So great. So all the guy does is play golf, cattails, Indian wood.
Hockey players are notoriously good at golf.
Well, it's the same swing. Like I told Darren a couple weeks back. I said, I used to cover the Red Wings golf outings they used to have at Indianwood, and Aaron Ward. I've never seen anybody hit a golf ball like Aaron Ward. It was unbelievable.
Darren would be good to have on your defense on your golf team if you were playing defense.
There you go. There you go. Yep.
Have Darren come take
Ask
some
him about
haymakers,
that.
take
Ask
some
him about
haymakers
that.
at you.
Right. That's right. Yeah, pull your golf shirt over your head, and there you go. It's where hockey meets golf.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be coming back in a little bit here.
All right. Everybody on Facebook, thanks for watching today. We do have one more segment, but we're not going to I guess we'll come back after the segment and talk to you.
Yeah. Appreciate you being here all week for us. We hope you enjoyed it.
It's Friday. We're just going to bolt the second it's over. We're just going to click off and start our weekend.
Friday. Get out of here. That's right. We're gone. You're right, Jerry. The Jamaican bobsled team was awesome. I think they made a movie about those guys. Going back to our Olympic talk.
Yes.
Yep. Very, very cool. And of course, the Miracle on Ice, which I also made a cool movie about. So. And the cool thing is we get to go home and watch some golf tonight since they're on the West Coast. So we get to go home and watch it late into the evening. So that'll be cool also.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me at all that there's no fans out there in golf.
Yeah, you're right.
In basketball, it bothers me a little bit. Like it's a little weird.
Kind of when they make a big putt, I kind of like. I feel like I like to see the fans and they get excited.
Yeah.
All right, here we come.
All right.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Happy Friday, everybody. We have been talking a little bit of golf, and I did a double take when I was looking at the PGA leaderboard. Tied for 37 was Jon Rahm, and that's not why I did the double take, but also tied for 37. I thought I saw D. McCarty, and I had to click on it, but it turns out it was Denny McCarthy. It wasn't our Darren McCarty. Darren is with us here to talk a little golf and a little bit of hockey. And Dave Rieger is here too, and Eric Dorsch, and I believe maybe Sean Belesian is going to join us as well. Hey, guys, welcome to the Mitch Albom Show.
Thanks a lot there, Kevin. Great to be joined by you. And I think I might have got an excused absence if I would have made it into the PGA. I know everybody around here, would have been rooting and stuff like that. I think I could have done it, but not this year anyways. But speaking of golf, I got to give a shout out to our boy Dorch because he went career low today. He went career low earlier today, and I think that's a huge accomplishment. So I'm going to give him a golf clap. Dorch, you want to tell for all the rest of us slacker hackers out there, and how
is this an appreciation award, or are you actually a good golfer?
Me, I'm an okay golfer. I shot 76 today, which is my career low.
Yeah, I love it. Congratulations, nice.
You know what? That's whenever you can go and you love the sport, and it doesn't listen. My motto, Kevin, is it's okay to suck. Just suck fast.
I was gonna say, Eric,
and you know what? Dave can tell, not Dave, but Dave knows is related to the guy who sucks the most that I know that plays the fastest that I love, and his brother. And his brother was dogging him earlier because he's a Broncos fan and stuff like that. So back at you, Reegs.
He's getting better. He is getting better.
You got to give him.
He's getting better. Yeah,
he shoots 76 for 9.
He used to.
Yes,
he can. He used to. That might be the squatch.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Yeah.
So Darren, you know why I think hockey is tougher than golf?
Thanks. You're going out on a limb with that one.
Because they play defense. They play defense in hockey. I feel like if you play defense against your golf partners, it would be a much tougher sport, much more fun to watch.
Yeah, you guys missed it earlier in the week. Dietz proposed that the golf would be better if we could find a way to have defense. As if golf's not hard enough, let's add defense to golf.
Hey, Kevin, you ever thought this? It's the only sport where the object is not moving, and you can do whatever you want and plan and do whatever you want to a non-moving object.
It's all on you.
Still can't. It's all on you. That's why you want defense to take, because a lot of us, and I get it. I mean, hey, full contact golf, I'm in. Don't get it twisted, but I think I could turn pro in that. But no, it's the psychological about it, and to be able to, whatever your goals are. Yeah, and my whole thing is, you can shoot whatever you want. Just play quickly because you're not a professional.
I used to say that my brother-in-law was a pro bowler, and they don't. And I'm like, what's the problem? They're not the pins aren't moving. They're just sitting right there. They're not even far away. Just knock them down. And he's like, you don't understand the oil and the thing and the. Of course, I can't bowl either. So
your brother-in-law is 100% right, by the way, 100% right. But I want to get Sean Belegian in here if he's hearing us. Sean.
I got you. What's up, boys?
So we're comparing defense in golf like hockey. What do you have to say about that?
Well, the beautiful thing about it is obviously the physicality. And to me, like in hockey, I think going down, and Darren knows this, paying the price and doing those things, the little things like blocking a shot, putting your body in harm's way and things like that. I mean, that's the glue, guys. I mean, guys like that, and I use the grind line for example. Kevin, I'm sure you remember the heyday. There's a reason that the grind line is held in such high esteem, because they were guys that weren't the most talented players. Mac, don't punch me for saying that, but they worked their tails off, and each of them had their different role and went out and played it perfectly. So it's the game within the game. And, obviously I'm biased, but I think that's what makes hockey the greatest game on earth.
I don't know if you let Koepka play a little defense against DeChambeau, golf could be the greatest game on earth.
Hey, could you imagine there'd be more fighting in golf than there would in hockey? But I know that I'd get over a bad hole really quick if I could punch somebody.
Yeah, those are two guys that definitely would like to play defense against each other if they could. So.
Wouldn't you like to see that? It's sort of like, like just John at each other. Like
Happy Gilmore.
Right.
Exactly. Well, like with all the like lately, because of COVID, you have these people doing these little matches before the tournaments and they're all mic'd up. That's what I want. Just put those two on a golf course, put microphones on, pay the fines for them swearing at each other, and let's just hear what they really have to say to each other while they're out on a golf course together.
Kepka's like the most dull guy ever, though.
Yeah, but he knows how to throw a
nothing
jab.
to say.
He's not dull, dude. He's just he's
angry.
The thing is that wait, but Brooks thinks no matter what, it doesn't matter on the score. He always thinks he's better than everybody. Like I mean, he carries himself like he's always number one.
That's
right?
what you're supposed to do.
He doesn't change, and obviously he's got his game's not to it. But that's what I mean. I love guys because he'll say what's on his mind. He doesn't care. He doesn't give two cares about anybody.
He's like those boxers, like Muhammad Ali or someone. He's just
Right,
like,
like he's a
hey, bring it
throwback.
on.
He's a throwback, just like whatever's on his mind. And, you see with Brando Chambly and they go back and forth.
Oh my God. Don't start with that guy.
Well,
Oh.
that's
God.
that's the beauty of it. So I don't think he's boring at all.
And then you got, DeChambeau is just going to throw out some, mathematical statistics or what's his argument going to be? Well, the cosine of the Pythagorean theorem for this, how's he going to go after Koepka?
No, you missed it though, because I saw it this morning on morning drive, or they were showing a clip and they were talking to the guys about what eating for breakfast, and DeChambeau's thing, and Brooks goes, yeah, I eat 6 eggs and 7 pieces of bacon and 12 protein shakes, and then he looks at the camera and goes, yeah, put that in, like that's just totally making fun of it. So it's out there, so you got to respect it. He doesn't care.
I guess you got to throw Phil Mickelson in there
guys,
too.
Though, isn't it amazing though? Like when you look at today's era, guys are so much more outspoken, and guys aren't afraid to show their personality. But the one sport in my mind that has exploded is golf. I mean, 20 years ago, you just didn't see the personalities. Even Tiger was so buttoned up. When the Tiger era came, he was so buttoned up, and there was this aura around him. And just in the last 10, 12 years, to see those personalities and some of the things, I think that has brought even more people into golf. I think it's a beautiful thing.
I think a lot of that is social media, though. You
just steal my thunder because I was going to say 2 words: social media.
Great minds, though, because all the golfers in the tour now they're finally in that generation where they've all grown up somewhat with social media. They all have it. They all use it. So you're here. 30 years ago, if social media had been around, you would have known about Phil Mickelson's Cavs 30 years ago. You're just finding out about him now.
But the first time I heard Brooks Koepka on Pardon My Take, I couldn't believe it. Listening to that podcast, I could not believe the way he was just freely talking, and I loved it. And I was trying to think, I'm thinking, is this good for golf or is this bad for golf? Is he going to bring golf down? And I'm thinking Jack Nicklaus would never talk like this. And then I'm like, no, this is fantastic. This is just going to bring more people into the game. More people are going to watch the golf because of the personalities. They're getting to find out a little bit more about these guys than how they shoot the golf ball.
Well, if you think through this COVID time and everything, that golf has exploded, because it has, and I know that for a fact. Detroit Golf Club is up 3.5 times, their rounds and stuff like that. It's more than just getting outside. These guys give the kids a reason to cheer for somebody, gives adults a reason to cheer for them. It doesn't matter if it's the Corn Ferry Tour, because now you got guys like Donnie Trosper, who we've had on our show, and young guys that are in the state of Michigan who you might see do certain things so you can cheer for. So I think it's in a new age, and social media, like Dortch said, it is a big part of it.
We got just about a minute. Who's everybody like to win this thing, this first major of the year?
I got Schauffele.
I'm going to go with
Finau.
I'm going to go with Koepka.
I think I'm going to go with Day. I picked Fowler originally, but he's not going to make the cut, so I'll have to go with Day.
Nobody thinks Tiger can come back from -2. I don't think he can either. I'm rooting for Koepka. That's what I picked in the beginning. I'm gonna have to stick
Tiger,
with him,
but I don't know.
All right, guys, you guys are talking hockey after this.
There's so much going on. We're going to touch a lot of stuff. Hockey. We're going to touch a couple unfortunate the Reed kid that isn't going to state, and just talk about a lot of things. But the one thing is I want to ask is, sports going in, are we getting over the hump here? Because even though the testings through all the sports are going down, but the bubbles are working and stuff like that, what do people think? Is that a good sign?
All right. Tune in. Darren Mccarty Show with Sean Belizian coming up after the break. Right now, we're going to check traffic with Michael Stetz. Have a great weekend, everyone.
It's 7 o'clock.
All right, Kev.
All right, thanks this week. Jeffrey says Tiger Woods. That'd be great if he could get back in this thing. He's only on the 5th hole, so maybe. I mean, he could be.
I mean, he's only what 6 down. So
yeah, it's nothing. Get on a little roll there.
Yeah, that'd be
That'd
great.
Be fun. All right, Facebook. Thanks everybody for popping in this week and today. And Dave and I ended up tied on who would be first to show up, as it turns out. Even though I won 2 out of 3, somehow we still tied. But
that's right.
All right, Dave. Thanks. I will catch up with you next time. And
all right, Kevin. Great working with you again, man.
All right, we'll see you around.
One tonight. We'll see sunny for Saturday with a high tomorrow.